like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Council and residents of Canaries to this, the opening of this landmark adorning the landscape of our village, this, the new Canaries Bridge. Today, we are officially opening what have been widely acclaimed as the nicest bridge on island, and we are proud to be able to boast as much. This assumes more significance for us because we have had to endure a less than ideal bridge for as long as the road network have been established on island. For us, this new bridge is a big deal. Since the bridge started taking its shape to the present time, more photos of this structure have been shared among residents both here and abroad than any other landmark or history or scenery in the village of Canaries. If one knows the history of our village, they would understand the reason why we appreciate this structure. Canaries was the last village to be connected to St. Lucia's road network in the 1950s. And we have had to endure a less than ideal single-lane, non-pedestrian bridge ever since. Traffic was brought to a halt many times, requiring the assistance of the police when stubborn drivers refused to reverse to allow the others to go through, both insisting that they had gotten to the bridge first. And that is the kind of things that we are experiencing in Canaries quite a lot. With other communities having extra lanes to cater for projected future traffic flows, we in Canaries and ancillary had to put up with a single lane bridge that was inadequate for the present basic two-way traffic flow, which is the minimum standard. We now have a bridge that will enhance traffic flow and pedestrian safety. And this project have also catered for the implementation of some of the drainage and flood mitigation interventions that were so badly needed by our village. Again, let me thank everyone present today for being part of this special attainment and that significant milestone in the development of our village. We hope that the time spent with us in the village will be as memorable to you as it is for us. And we hope that you'll enjoy the usual hospitality and courtesies that is always a hallmark of the residents of Canaries. With this, I wish to thank everyone and enjoy the rest of the proceedings.
It is with a high degree of relief and satisfaction that I formally welcome you to this official ceremony of the newly constructed Canaries Bridge. This location has presented several challenges to the Ministry of Infrastructure over the years. The last incident was in 2013, the Christmas Eve trough, when we felt that Hurricane Thomas would have challenged the bridge, but it was the Christmas Eve trough which gave us the most surprise. We quickly reinstated it, I believe within a week or two, where our staff were quite busy getting the bridge back in order, in which we installed a temporary Bailey Bridge. This Bailey Bridge, I'm looking for it, it's no longer here. I think it's now back to its rightful place in our compound in Vieux-Fort, St. Lucia. This project is part of the wider Hurricane Thomas reconstruction project, and it is funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. Over the years, we've had to do, following the Hurricane Thomas, we've had to carry out a lot of slope works in the Badlil, and internally it's referred to as slides 1 to slide 10, and most of you would know the number of balconies that presented themselves at the Badlil. We had to conduct studies, various slope studies island-wide. We had to conduct, particularly in the Mac-Bexon area, for which in the Mac-Bexon we still have a bridge to construct. We have also the still challenges in the Mac area, but those Mac and Bexon, but those studies and the intervention would come in at later projects. But we are here this afternoon to now symbolize and signify the opening of this project. And I won't reveal the name that was given to me, I think, or what someone, a passing name that persons refer to the bridge. I will leave it to maybe future speakers or the people of Canaries to think and to speak about what their bridge symbolizes to them and where they may have seen a similar bridge in the world. But as we gather here today, this bridge didn't come without challenges. When, as a ministry, you set out to construct and you set out to get projects going, there are always significant challenges. We grapple, we are challenged by keep the project within budget. We are challenged to maintain the quality of the works, particularly the quality of the works, and we are significantly challenged by the time that it would take for this project to be undertaken. This project the project sum is $5,857,000, $5.8 million, I could say, for this project. And this project was, as I indicated, funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. The project contractor is Master Builders Limited, and Mr. Shitoli is indeed within the audience. The project manager is the Caribbean Consulting Engineers. This project started in 2016. The site possession took place in September of 2016. The intended completion date, September 2017. And here we are today in May of 2018. So you could really see our challenge. But we never traded off on the budget. We never traded off on the quality, but we had to do a trade-off with the time. The contractor can give you his challenges with regards to this methodology of construction, which is different to the Tomato Bridge, for which we will be unveiling very soon, particularly most likely next month. And so we had to be having conversations, project meetings, ongoing discussion on what the needs of the people of Canaries, what sort of design they want with regards to the finishing, and what would appease the people, because when our mantra was, when we leave Canaries, the bridge will remain with the people of Canaries. So we need to ensure that we had the input of the council, the input of the people of Canaries. This afternoon, I welcome you again, and do hope that as you listen to the various speakers, you will get an appreciation, particularly from Minister, with regards to the future of infrastructure in St. Lucia. And we ask you to bask in the glory with us and enjoy as we celebrate the unveiling of this new Canaries Bridge. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Bridges have been and still are the umbilical cords of humankind's progress over the centuries. From the simple log and crude rope suspension bridges to the monumental concrete and steel spans of today, bridges have dramatically unfurled the history of humanity's conquest of nature's barriers. A river, as in the case of the Canaries Bridge, a chasm, an estuary, a valley, and even the sea. Bridges just a few feet wide to many kilometers long have the same common goal of serving the needs for better access, better transportation links, and trade between local communities and international boundaries. This Canaries Bridge is no different, as it serves as a vital communication link between a number of communities and the wider St. Lucia. Previously, what existed in this location was a temporary Bailey bridge, or Bailey structure, which was installed following the destruction of the old Canaries Bridge by the devastating flood waters of the Christmas Eve trough of 2014. I wish to applaud the Ministry of Infrastructure's efforts in dealing with the critical bridge infrastructural needs of this country. There is no doubt that there is a serious maintenance backlog and need to reconstruct, change some of our crossings and bridges, especially in the light of the fact that the hydraulic and physical realities that then govern their design have changed significantly. In view of the existing realities, in the drive to address that need, creative approaches to design need to be adopted. A constrained economic environment, climate change, new river dynamics, surrounding development, etc., dictate a paradigm shift in the approach to bridge design. The Ministry of Infrastructure, Ports, Energy, and Labor need to adopt a smart approach to bridge designs. Bridge design should be simple, meticulously done, artistic, resilient, or resistant to design floods, and should be able to withstand the test of international standards. S is for simplicity. Extravagance leads to significant cost and hence should be a non-starter when it comes to bridge design in our constrained economic environment. M is for meticulous. All factors should be taken into consideration in design: the existing economic environment, river dynamics, climate change, road class, traffic levels, population distribution, effects of flood disruption, to name a few. A is for artistic. Too often bridges are designed without the aesthetics being given any consideration. We wanted to make sure that the people of Canaries did not get an ugly bridge. So we had to ensure that they had an input into the final product. A bridge ought not only to have a linkage function, but should be a landmark of beauty. R is for flood resistance or resilience. In resilience design, the design storm will inflict some damage on the bridge, but will not affect its functionality after a storm. Repairs can be undertaken to restore the bridge structure. In respect of design for flood resistance, the bridge will not be affected by the design storm in any way. However, nearby communities may be seriously affected. Flood-resistant structures can be very costly and should not be considered unless there is very good reason to entertain them. Creative design requires a balance between designing for resilience and designing for resistance, and an optimal approach which requires doing more with less, and at the same time ensuring value for money should be pursued. T is for designing to the test of international standards. Our design should be able to withstand the test of scrutiny of international standards. In other words, the existing fiscal realities require innovation, creative engineering, and brilliance so as to ensure effective problem solving at minimal cost. We need to be smart. The new Canaries Bridge design comprises a double-span bridge, a total of 28.8 meters long with a center support, as you can see for yourselves. Two-lane carriageway with 3.5 meter lanes and sidewalks 1.2 meter wide with ducts for services. Bridge approach works, a design life of 120 years, designed for a storm event of a 1 in 100 year return period, design traffic speeds of 30 kilometers per hour, disaster mitigation measures, and river training works. The bridge was designed to conform to Code 5400 of the bridges standards. The bridge is designed with a bowed profile, meaning it's kind of arched, and with a center support, as you can see. The bridge was also designed to be cast in situ concrete. This design choice is based on several factors. Given the size requirements for the hydraulic opening, the height of the bridge was increased. However, given the constraints of the approaches, especially the northern approach, that one, where limited elevation is possible, increasing the heights of the approaches in any significant manner was not feasible. The boat design, therefore, aids in achieving the desired clearances. The use of the center support was required in order to reduce the depth of the beam members, thus allowing the required clearances without further increasing the height of the bridge. The choice to cast the bridge in place is also based on several factors, including the remote location of the site. the lack of docking facilities for shipping adequate lengths of precast or steel beams, or the means to transport such lengths and size of beams as may be required by road, as well as cost considerations. Concrete was also the medium of choice, given the proximity of the location to the sea, which would increase the corrosive resistive effects on a bridge constructed of steel girders. River training works were implemented to both up and downstream river banks to protect against further erosion of the banks and to ensure the required flow alignment is maintained. The bridge is funded jointly by the Caribbean Development Bank and the Government of St. Lucia. The contract for the bridge works was awarded to Master Builders Company Limited, as alluded to earlier by the Permanent Secretary, and signed on the 28th of June 2016 at a value of $5,857,075.87. The start date as per contract was 25th July 2016. The planned completion date as per contract was 26th of July 2017, but was subsequently extended due to various circumstances, some of which could not have been reasonably foreseen by the contractor and client. The taking over certificate was issued on 28th March 2018. The contractor's performance has been satisfactory, and he has complied in large measure with the specifications of the contract. The Ministry wishes to thank the people of Canaries and environs and road users of the West Coast Road for the patience they have exhibited during the 21 months of construction. The Ministry is aware of the hardships suffered by commuters and is extremely pleased at being able to bring relief to all. The Ministry also wishes to thank the engineers and technicians who work hard alongside the contractor and consultant in bringing the construction of the bridge to a successful completion. It has been a long journey with many challenges, but all these were overcome through a concerted effort on the part of the team. The Ministry's thanks go to Mr. Len Leon, Deputy Chief Engineer and present Project Coordinator, Ms. Mary Augustine, former Project Coordinator, Mr. Jude Regis, former Project Coordinator, Mr. Marcellus Emmanuel, former Project Engineer, Ms. Natalie Popovic, Project Engineer, Mr. Peter Sipal and Mrs. Flyra Hunt Baptist, Quantity Surveyors, and Caribbean Consulting Engineers, represented by Mr. Neil Williams and his team, who did a great job in managing the project on behalf of the Ministry. Special thanks go also to the Caribbean Development Bank and the Government of St. Lucia for jointly funding the project. Without the funding, this new bridge would not be here today, and would not be seated here today either. In closing, I wish to applaud the Ministry for a job well done. I wish to single out the Honorable Minister and Permanent Secretary for their unwavering commitment to the rehabilitation of the nation's infrastructure, especially the island's bridges. As a team, notwithstanding the difficult fiscal realities, the Ministry, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister, Honorable Stevenson King, and Permanent Secretary, Mr. Ivor Daniel, is doing great things for St. Lucia's infrastructure. I thank you.
It is indeed a very proud moment for me. And I was remarking to the Minister that there seems to be a lot of proud moments for me this month, because it was just a few weeks ago we converged in the old church and we launched St. Lucia's first Wi-Fi village in the GNet program right here in Canaries. And then, with less fanfare, we also open up the improvement to the Canaries Water Catchment Project, which should have improved the water supply of the community significantly. More good news is that we also received funding from a private entity to establish for the first time in the community of Anslavady a basketball court for the youth of that community. So no longer will they have to play on the road, but this government has seen it fitting to ensure that we do our best to make sure that we bring the people of Canaries along with the development of St. Lucia
and to ensure that we send a loud statement that the people of Canaries are not forgotten. And then, more good news is about to come. As we oversee the progression of works on the playing field facility, a project that was started by the previous administration, but we inherited much difficulty and many challenges, and we are committed to completing this project and delivering it safely to the people of Canaries. Now to this bridge. If ever there was a statement, or there was meaning to the statement, that out of crisis come opportunity, it is with the construction of this bridge. And I heard it remarked by a few speakers before me, the dilapidated red Bailey steel bridge that we all would come up and there would be traffic congestion along a whole host of difficulties. And then came that unfortunate day, which tested the resolve of the Canaries community, a resilient people, when we all woke up and instead of celebrating the Christmas season, we received bad news that the community of Canaries was the worst affected by the brunt of the Christmas Eve trough of 2013. And so this project, the conceptualization of it began, and it obviously spanned a few governments, and here we are today ensuring that we deliver this project on time, on budget, on schedule, so that the people of Canaries and the people of St. Lucia can experience. I've heard a lot of speculation and anxiety about what the bridge should be named, but for now, let's name it St. Lucia's Best Bridge, right? So it was a lot of difficulty, and it was a lot of challenge. And if there was ever a meaning in the statement that, you know, this bridge was born in crisis. But with the resolve of the people of Canaries, and with your patience and your determination and your resilience, you have actually stood strong, and you have actually endured, and you have now arrived at this place in your village history, and you do deserve it, and much more. And so I want to pledge to you as your parliamentary rep that I'm going to challenge these gentlemen at the head table to do their best for you and to ensure that this bridge is just the beginning of better things to come for this constituency. I've already put out a challenge to the Minister of Infrastructure, and I've said, Minister, if there was ever a place or if there was ever a meaning to the statement that low-lying communities are vulnerable to climate change, then it has to be here in Canaries. And so the Minister has said to me that Canaries is very much at the forefront of the desilting program as we prepare for the hurricane season, and so he will do a major desilting of the rivers so that we can better resist and make this community stronger, right? And being able to resist any potential of flooding. So the smile means a yes. So I know you're very warm. I don't want to speak for very long, but just to say to you that let us continue. We have outlined a number of infrastructure development projects. Our government this year has actually chosen to focus on resilience. And when we chose that as the theme for the budget, it was communities like you we had in mind, and the threat that you face every day to natural disasters. And so we chose to focus broadly on the theme, not just on infrastructure development, but we also chose human resilience. We chose resilience of the public service so that the various government agencies can better serve you when you go and you apply for health assistance, and to be involved in education programs and on sporting programs, so that we have a public service up to the task, efficient and ready to deliver to communities like you. We also chose physical resilience, which would cover the aspect of the budget theme that this bridge would fall under. And there are many more other projects that we are conceptualizing for communities like you so that we can make you stronger and able to cope with the challenges that small, low-lying areas like you would face as it relates to the ever-increasing threat of climate change. And so let us continue working towards building this community, making it one that all of St. Lucia can admire. And I think that this bridge is a great beginning. I thank you all so very much. God bless you.
For a moment, in the address delivered by the parliamentary representative, I gave him an A+ in his ability to convert and to communicate a conversation which we had in as far as the development of infrastructure and the servicing of the country's infrastructure. And it will be brought to mind my favorite verse in the Bible: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can build any infrastructure through the Minister for Finance who bears fruit. So today, I join with the parliamentary representative for ancillary Canaries here on this very beautiful location in signifying and declaring open a very significant element in our nation's infrastructure. And as you heard previously from the chairman of the Canaries Village Council, he gave you the history of the Canaries Bridge and the many battles or near battles which transpired on that bridge in the early days when there was less tolerance sometimes, and where many thought that their wrong was right and others felt wrong is wrong, right is right. But he was certainly right in his description of what took place on this bridge, the previous bridge that is, or the bridges before, here in Canaries. But the previous bridge, the Canaries Bridge as it was known, a Bailey Bridge, was established in the 1950s, and somewhere in 2010, as a consequence of Hurricane Thomas, the integrity of the bridge was severely challenged. Notwithstanding that structural integrity, it survived nature's climatic volatility until 2013, when it was washed away and detached from its abutments as a consequence of the passage of the Christmas Eve trough. The damaged Bailey Bridge, which was then replaced with a new bridge, which served until this new bridge was commissioned and construction started, certainly brought much despair in some instances and interrupted the livelihoods and the economic activity of the people of Canaries. From 2010, ever since the challenges among many of our infrastructure affected by Hurricane Thomas and subsequently by the Christmas Eve trough, the debate on rather the negotiations with the international agencies and friendly governments started as early as 2010, and successive governments have attempted to complete the augmentation of the infrastructure in an endeavor to bring our infrastructure to a standard that is acceptable. The Caribbean Development Bank came to our rescue, and in this case, agreed to finance this bridge, as we are told, at a cost of $5.87 million to be undertaken and was undertaken by the Ministry of Infrastructure. The contractor, Master Builders Company Limited, certainly as a local company demonstrated its capability, its ability, and its competence to deliver the bridge within budget, though challenged by many unforeseen circumstances which caused the delivery of the bridge to be made in 6 months later than the date established for delivery. The works which were conducted in the construction of the bridge comprised the demolition of 2 bridge abutments and disposal of waste material, the construction of a center pier and the two new abutments supported by the pad foundation, the construction of a new reinforced in situ concrete deck with 2 clear spans of 14.4 meters from the center pier, the construction of wing walls, construction of flood protection walls, construction and repairs of gabion walls to protect the riverbanks, and here being one of the locations that is properly protected by the gabion walls. Then there's the construction of the temporary bypass road, which included the relocation and reuse of existing Bailey bridges, the construction of pedestrian walks, horizontal and vertical realignment of approach roads, and the construction of roadside drainage, and also the reinstallation of new electrical lines, water lines, and telecommunications. I've said all of this to give you an indication of the work that was called upon the contractors to undertake in building this new bridge, because it meant that we needed to dismantle the existing bridge, the old bridge, and to rebuild and to replace new infrastructure to develop the level of resilience and resistance that we're looking for in this new Canaries Bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me therefore to indicate that public infrastructure in St. Lucia has been severely challenged over the years by dwindling budgetary allocations and more recently with greater severity of climate change. Transport infrastructure, in particular, roads, bridges, crossings, and even rivers and watercourses have faced since 2010 the wrath of adverse weather events, in particular, hurricanes such as Thomas in 2013, the Christmas Eve trough, and others. More recently, in October of 2016, Tropical Storm Matthew reminded us that it is not over yet. In 2017, Hurricane Irma and Maria reminded us that we need to be on high alert and to be prepared in the years ahead. For us within the Ministry of Infrastructure, we understand this readiness quite clearly. And only Friday last week, we convened a meeting not only of officials from the Ministry of Infrastructure, but other agencies who we collaborate with and interface with in the event of disaster. That meeting was intended to give us an opportunity to assess the readiness of the agencies, but more specifically, to alert and to sensitize the other agencies of our own readiness and our understanding and commitment to their participation and collaboration with us. The Ministry of Infrastructure, in its medium-term vision for roads, therefore, intends to maintain at the primary road network at an acceptable standard roads free of potholes, resulting in reduced vehicle operating costs. And for you, I ask you to bear a bit of patience, although in recent times, through a reorganization of the road maintenance unit, you would have noticed that throughout the island, there seemed to be a proactive approach in dealing with our road maintenance program, particularly in our potholing unit. In the coming months and years, you will see an even more robust approach to road maintenance as we have launched a new department, a new initiative within the Ministry of Infrastructure dealing with road maintenance management, asset management system here in St. Lucia. In the north of the island, from Corinth through to Dayglow, the bypass roads, among others, will be upgraded and maintained at a safe condition in order for motorists to use and to reduce traffic congestion along the Canaries-Grosley Highway and within the city of Castries. The ministry will also continue to pursue the new link road to join the community of Dennery to the north of the island, bypassing Castries. This new roadway should allow for quicker travel time to and from the Honora International Airport to the major hotels which are located in the north of the country. We are currently implementing a road maintenance management system and a bridge maintenance management system, RMMS and BMMS, geared to fulfill the mandate, the mission, and the vision of the Ministry of Infrastructure. We have begun the road surveys, as you'd recognize by the vehicles which have been identified as the RMMS vehicles engaged in road maintenance and surveys. This program will not only attend to road surfaces, but will deal with the entire infrastructure, such as bridges, and also engage in surveys and inspections. Data collected will be meshed with economic parameters to help scientifically determine the priorities with regard to roads and bridge maintenance, which we believe is a critical element if we are to sustain a first-class road infrastructure in St. Lucia. The ministry has therefore undertaken a bridge condition assessment island-wide, and this study has identified the bridges throughout the island to be replaced, as well as those that require maintenance. So in other words, basically, what we are doing is being proactive, not waiting for bridges to collapse, but being able to assess the safeness and the integrity and engineering of the bridges, and to be able to undertake the timely intervention to sustain and preserve those bridges. This year, the ministry has scheduled an ambitious bridges and culverts program, and those include preparatory works for the reconstruction of the Wavin-Poisson Bridge and the Cul-de-sac Bridge, which is to be funded by the Japanese government through its agency JICA, and the funding approved in this year's estimates. Some $3 million will be allocated to cover land acquisition and the construction of a bypass road and crossing at the Wavin-Poisson. That amount will be expended by the government of St. Lucia, while the Japanese government will meet the total cost of the construction of that bridge. The Tomaso Bridge, which is presently about being completed, is being constructed by Integrated Development and Construction Limited at a cost of $5.623 million, and is being supervised by the Caribbean Consulting Engineers St. Lucia. Work started in September 26, 2016, and the revised completion date is June next month, 2018. We are hoping that during that time, a similar exercise will be conducted. Then you have the PI Bridge, the temporary or Bailey Bridge in PI, which was constructed as replacement of the previous Bailey Bridge, which was damaged by the Christmas Eve trough, will be given consideration. A permanent, that is, better bridge will be constructed, and it is expected to improve the traffic maneuverability in the area. Funding for reconstruction will be provided by the World Bank, and we are hoping that negotiations will be completed this year and construction started in the early year. The general conditions of our bridges certainly are cause for concern. Overall, 6 additional bridges are earmarked to be reconstructed in the not-too-distant future due to varying conditions detected by the Ministry of Infrastructure in its assessment surveys done in recent times. The Dayglow Bridge, Mark and Piat, among others, need to be reconstructed for safety reasons. The Bacadere and Il Pirata bridges in the south of the island have exhibited structural shortcomings which need to be addressed urgently. Maintenance neglect has been the order of the day for our bridges island-wide. Cost to the road user is tremendous as a consequence of this situation. I am therefore pleased as Minister for Infrastructure to indicate that the government has concluded successful negotiations with the Republic of China, Taiwan, for a loan which includes $50 million to be expended on our road infrastructure throughout the island. The intention is to upgrade all of our primary roads in country to an A-class condition, along with our secondary road infrastructure, and to be able, upon completion, to apply the road maintenance management system to maintain our roads at an exemplary state. The cost to road users translate into additional travel time if we do not do these things. As a result, we may see in the coming weeks and months increased activity by the Ministry of Infrastructure as it continues to escalate its ambitious program of roadworks in St. Lucia. The targets for us for our bridge program are: 1, to reconstruct 6 bridges in the 4th year of this administration. 2, to maintain 32 bridges by the 4th year of the administration, reduce flooding in the cul-de-sac basin by 80% by year 4, and there should be no bridge in our inventory at the Ministry of Infrastructure with a remaining life of less than 5 years. So in other words, through our RMMS and BMMS, the intention is to ensure that within our stock, our inventory of bridges, there shall be no bridges standing with less than 5 years to go. There will be a comprehensive program of periodic inspections to identify any risk in place by year 2. This ambitious program is intended, again, to ensure that we remain current, on top of the situation, and to satisfy the needs of our people. As I've said on many occasions to staff at the Ministry of Infrastructure, at this stage, I believe our people are not asking, what is the Ministry of Infrastructure doing? They know that the Ministry of Infrastructure is working, but at this stage, they want to know that what the Ministry of Infrastructure is delivering is quality work, and that we are committed to do. Today's event symbolizes a commitment to resilience, work in progress, and a progressive forward march into a safe, resilient, and robust infrastructure in St. Lucia. This bridge is a critical link in the island road network chain of St. Lucia. Without this Canaries Bridge, the country can be rendered paralyzed, thus interfering in the social and economic development not only of the West Coast, but the entire country. With this, I am honored, as Minister for Infrastructure, Ports, Energy, and Labor, to deliver to you, the residents of Canaries, and by extension, the people of St. Lucia, the latest addition to the island's infrastructure, the Canaries Bridge. I thank you.
So the first thing is that in listening to my ministers come up here and speak, I was reminded that cabinet had not ended. And I just wanted to say to the citizens and the residents of Canaries that your minister and your district rep, this is exactly how he is in cabinet. He's always after us to do more for Canaries and for the people in his constituency. You know, so we're always having to try to temper him in some way. I also want to say that I noticed that when it was said that the bridge was completed on budget, that it was only the Minister of Finance that applauded. And I was looking at all of you who were not clapping. So the other thing I want to really talk about is that if there's one person that clearly understands what the community of Canaries was going through with their bridge, I'm certainly one of those people. I spent many of an hour traversing the roads from Rodney Bay to Soufriere, and on many occasions clearly had to pass through here in Canaries, and we also had to practice the greatest level of cordiality in affording somebody else to go across the bridge before we did. And this obviously was something that we shared in Soufriere. And that's why we were so adamant as a government to change the bridge in Soufriere and making it a two-way bridge. And I'm so happy that my government was able to participate and make this happen for the people in Canaries. So congratulations to all of you. It's important that both my ministers spoke about the word resilience. And the resilience, unfortunately, has become more associated with infrastructural resilience, but that our government is committed to building a new resilient solution. And that resilience is not just about the bridges and about the roads and the physical infrastructure, but it's about building that resilience in a people. And if ever there was a community that has shown tremendous resilience, it is the community of Canaries. And how do I know that? I was certainly here in the aftermath of both the Thomas storm, as well as the aftermath of the Christmas trough. And the people of Canaries were never down. And I think that this year, like some of the other years, I think you have the #1 football team. Yes. Am I right? Yes. And I also know that many of the star players on the women's netball team come from here in Canaries. The coach is from Castries North. So he knew good talent when he saw it, and he came down here. So I don't know whether it's something in the water, something special you have here, but it tells you that you've never allowed that the stigma of being associated as being one of the poorest communities in St. Lucia ever to keep you down. And I'm very, very proud of you in terms of what you've been able to accomplish. I also want to say that I have two very, very hard-working ministers who are at the head table with me today. And in many ways, it's hard to believe that you would ever suggest that both of them were very humble people, because they're so active out there. But in many ways, they are extremely humble, because they have not spoken about the incredible successes they've had in a very short period of time. You know, we've not even reached the 2-year plateau of our government. And already, as the minister from Canaries and Anstey has pointed out, we've opened up the Wi-Fi services here. We're about to get the lights in the Canaries field going. And we have a major project that we've negotiated for the West Coast Road, which obviously will include Canaries, which we're hoping to be able to commence at the beginning of this year. So I think next week we're opening up the breaking ground for the distillery in your constituency. And I believe that later this week, Minister, with regards to the opening of the dam, the works in Monday, that we're going to be commencing the major works at the Roseau Dam. So the amount of work that's going to be taking place just in this constituency is huge. I'm hoping that there are some farmers here who will acknowledge the incredible work that the Minister of Agriculture has been doing in the area of agriculture. We've seen that the production of bananas is up almost 300%, but more importantly that we're regaining substantial market share in the British market. And we're hopefully going to be announcing very soon the restructuring of the fisheries complex and also the marketing board. So these days of where government continues to have to owe farmers and fishermen money, that would be ended. And we want to make sure that both the farmers as well as the fishermen are involved in an industry that can make a significant amount of returns for them. So there's a fair amount of modernization that needs to take place in that overall level of production. There's no way possible that we'd be able to execute our work program without the assistance of friendly governments, and many of them are here today. So I want to really thank the government of Mexico for the work that they've been doing with us in the area of agriculture and also in infrastructure. The Ministry of Morocco that's been helping us with fertilizer, and I know that we're working on some major infrastructural programs with you, so I want to thank you, sir, for your government's kind assistance. Our very good friend, the Ambassador Douglas Chen, who has been really a tremendous friend and a great supporter of what we're doing in St. Lucia. And one of the programs that we're talking to his government about is the development of village tourism. And village tourism is about empowering St. Lucians. It's about allowing St. Lucians to become entrepreneurs, in assisting those small businesses in being able to develop. And part of that is building infrastructure to support you. We want to see that Canaries will become a major tourism destination. And so your resources of the old church, as well as the waterfalls that you have here, need to be enhanced in order that we can get guest houses where people are going to want to come and stay here in Canaries for a couple of days. So that is a tremendous goal that we have, and I know that we're going to be launching the village tourism program soon, and we're clearly in advanced discussions with the Taiwanese government as it pertains to that. My Minister of Tourism, again, came up here and did not boast about his achievements. Last year was a record-breaking year for tourism in St. Lucia. St. Lucia had the highest rate of growth of any country in the Caribbean with 11+%. I think he deserves a round of applause. But the true significance of success is not to do it once, but to repeat it. And he is already well on his way. So what we're seeing already for the first quarter of this year, January to March, is that our numbers are at 110,000 arrivals, which is the highest number of arrivals that St. Lucia has ever had in one quarter. In fact, it exceeds the previous record by 9.5%. The month of March was also a record-breaking month in that we had 41,744 arrivals, which is the largest number of arrivals we've ever had in the history of St. Lucia in 1 month. In fact, the minister broke his own record, which the previous record was in December of 2017, and he broke that record by 7.5% over what we did in December of 2017. The numbers don't stop there. Our U.S. arrivals in March were up 21.2%, and they're up 15% for the first quarter. Our UK arrivals are up 22.3% for the month of March, and up 12% for the first quarter. And the Caribbean was up 34.9% in the month of March, and is up 11.3% in the first quarter. This is an incredible achievement, and I congratulate you, Minister. I really want to end my presentation here, but to say I want to thank God again for the opportunity He's afforded us. I want to thank the people of St. Lucia for their confidence in my government in 2016 and their continued support of the work that we're doing. And that we pledged you, all of our ministers, that we are going to continue to work and focus on the things that matter most to the people of this country. And we want to improve the quality of life for the people here in Canaries. We want to improve the opportunities for the people in Canaries. And you will see a lot more work coming from both my ministers, myself, and as a government as a whole. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Please enjoy your bridge. And we look forward to meeting you again very soon. I think the minister said we have to come back down here to turn on the lights at some point, right? And then we also have the project for the clean water. That's correct. There's a lot more opportunities for us to revisit Canaries, so I look forward to those days. So again, congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to the staff of the Ministry of Infrastructure. And I know you have a tremendous agenda ahead of you. And there's certainly, if we had to put one person to be responsible for the incredible work program that we have at the Ministry of Infrastructure, I don't think that we could have selected a better person than the Honorable Stevenson King. So thank you very much.